We should not undermine the Dhyana yogis or Ashtanga yogis, because they are also, Srila Prabhupada said, they are transcendentalists. So they are not on an ordinary platform. It's not easy to raise your energy from the pelvic floor to slowly go to the abdomen, the heart, to the mouth, and up to the cerebral plate. It's a long process, very difficult process, a lot of control. And in the end, the yogi can either, when he advances to that stage, he's meditating upon Vishnu, of course. When he advances to the stage to reach to the cerebral plate, at his own free will, he can leave the body. But at that time, he has to decide whether he wants to go to Vishnu Lok or whether he wants to go to other Siddha Lokas. There are a lot of Siddha Lokas about the planet Earth. So, if you choose the Siddha Loka, as we all know, when we finish our piety, we have to come back to the material world, Earth planet. Even the demigods have to come back, to go back to Golok. For us, Bhakti Yoga is easier because we don't have to practice the artificial control of the senses from the sense objects, because what we do, we engage our senses in service of Krishna. So we are constantly occupied. Because the reason is the mind needs, and our senses as a result have to be engaged in some kind of activity. If you give up one activity, it has to be replaced by, otherwise there's a saying in English, an idle mind is a devil's workshop. So we have to, so for a Bhakti yogi, he is already engaged in service of Krishna, constantly thinking about chanting, we have to wake up the Lord, we have to prepare the offering, the puja, paraphernalia, everything. So you're constantly occupying your senses. Or if you're done with all that, you are reading Srimad Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita or whatever that you are reading upon. So we don't have to do that artificial sense control. Yogis, when they try to do it artificially, there is a big chance of falling. Because it's very difficult to stay focused on one, and especially in Kali Yuga. This is for Satyuga and Dwapar and Treta. When they sit down and they said that the reason they were able to do in Satyuga, like Dhruva Maharaj did it, is because there were very few temptations in those days, very few distractions. We have so many distractions. Everything around us, about us, inside out is so polluted. The air, the water, the food, the fire, air, earth, water, ether, everything that we are made of is all polluted. So that's not possible. But this is, Bhakti Yoga is the best yoga for us. And Srila Prabhupada says, I am not perfect, but the process I have given is perfect. So if you follow that, there's a short bet guarantee you will go back to Krishna. And so I'm just going to read very short purport, read it, and then we'll discuss that. This morning, I was listening to Srila Prabhupada's little class and on YouTube, and he's explaining, he says, everybody is trying to achieve perfection. Some kind of perfection. This, that, whether it's yogic perfection or in school, in office, work, science, whatever. But you have to know what the meaning of perfection. This is the only perfection you can achieve, and the only perfection there is to be achieved is to get free from birth, death, old age, and disease. That's the only perfection there is to be achieved. So first know the meaning of perfection, then you can follow the right path and achieve that. And says it's very simple, isn't it? And then he laughed. So yeah, it is simple. If you focus on it, if you apply your mind to it, it is very simple. So let me just read this text. And my Sanskrit is not very good, so just pardon my pronunciation and my struggle with it. Text 7. Hitatmanaha prashantasya paramatma samahitaha shitoshna sukha dukhesu tatha man apman manayoho. Translation, the meaning. Jita Atma, of one who has conquered his mind. Prashantasya, who has attained tranquility by such control over the mind, Parama Atma, the super soul, Samahitaha, approached completely, Sita in cold, Ushna in heat, Sukha, happiness, Dukheshu, and distress, Tatha, also Mana in honor, Apamanaho, and dishonor. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. For one who has conquered the mind, the super soul is already reached, for he has attained tranquility. To such a man, happiness and distress, heat and cold, honor and dishonor are all the same. Actually, every living entity is intended to abide by the dictation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is seated in everyone's heart as Paramatma. When the mind is misled by the external illusory energy, one becomes entangled in material activities. Therefore, as soon as one's mind is controlled through one of the yoga systems, one should be considered to have already reached destination. Like I said, don't undermine them. They are also transcendentalists. Also, although they have taken the path and process that's difficult to achieve, even if we try it, it's difficult to achieve. But they are because they are not bhakti yogi, they are still transcendentalists. Because to achieve all that, they do transcend all the three modes of material nature. One should be considered to have already reached the destination. One has to abide by superior dictation. When one's mind is fixed on the superior nature, he has no alternative but to follow the dictation of the Supreme. The mind must admit some superior dictation and follow it. The effect of controlling the mind is that one automatically follows the dictation of Paramatma or Super Soul. Because this transcendental position is at once achieved by one who is in Krishna consciousness, the devotee of the Lord is unaffected by the dualities of material existence, namely distress and happiness, cold and heat, etc. This state is practical samadhi or absorption in the Supreme. Srila Prabhupada explains this so well. He doesn't leave anything for our imagination or our misunderstanding. He said that every living entity is intended to abide by the dictation of the Supreme Lord. We know the super soul is guiding the individual soul, continuously is guiding us. Why do we go wrong? Often we say, how do we know that the super soul, this is super soul telling us and we are doing it? The way you know is, oftentimes we say, my gut feeling was saying, I shouldn't do it. But I did it anyway. So that gut feeling is the super soul guiding you. But oftentimes the temptations and the other things that's so easy to do, we overrule that, we ignore that, and we do what we please, our mind asks us to do. That's when we get into trouble. Otherwise, the super soul is always present to guide you. The only difference is, Srila Prabhupada explains that unless you give up your free will, he will guide you, but he'll stay neutral. He will not say, do this, don't do this. Until you give up your free will and say, Krishna, please help me, I give up, I'm confused, help me. Then only he'll intercept. Reason being, if he interferes before you surrender, then he is not an autocrat, he is a dictator. He loves us, he has given us the free will to choose wrong or right. Then he has to stay neutral and away from it. He will not we do get tempted. Children don't do well, then we get tempted to interfere and help, which is okay. But Krishna doesn't do that. He just watches us. And then until when we say, hey Krishna, I surrender. I don't know what to do. Please help. He will help. Because Arjun was arguing with Krishna all along. Why he has to fight on the battlefield? My family, you all know the story. My kith and kin, all these are sitting here. I'm facing them. The whole Kauravas, the whole dynasty of Kauravas and Pandavas. I cannot kill them, cannot fight them. Then he's arguing, and then at one point he says, okay, I want to see a universal form. He thinks I'm Krishna's friend, I'm privileged. See, that's still there, the ego. Then Krishna says, you sure you want to see? Yeah. So he decided, so he said, you have to get a divine vision. With our material eyes, you cannot see even material form of Krishna, the universal form. We cannot see it. So because Arjuna was privileged, Krishna gave him the divine vision, allow him to see it. And then he got all overwhelmed and bewildered and says, no, go back to your human-like form, two-arm form with a flute. I cannot take it. I am completely confused. Please help. Then he surrendered to Krishna. Krishna says, now we are talking. Now we are ready to fight. Until you are kept arguing with me, there was no hope for you. Or even for me. No matter how frustrated I got, I have to bear with that. Because he has given the free will. He will not interfere, no matter what. So, here he's saying that a yogi, bhakti yogi, or a dhyana yogi, who has controlled all his senses, has controlled his mind. Because what you are doing, Srila Prabhupada said, when you sit down to chant the holy name, the mind is going here and there. We all know that, how that works. So he said, that doesn't mean you let it run where he wants to go. Bring it back, like you would put a child or a dog on a leash out of harm's way. So he said, you have to do that. So he said, a person who has realized his relation with, as an individual soul to the super soul, doesn't need to make any efforts, because once he's convinced, he has controlled his mind. Once he controls his mind, no sense objects will attract him. Because what you are doing, a dhyana yogi is doing his samadhi. A bhakti yogi is engaged in Krishna's service. And we all know, it takes up sometimes a whole day. Gopal is going to wake up this time. We have to offer this. Then we have to get the bathing water ready. All that process, whatever way you are doing, it engages you. Even after it's done, he's going to be up at 5 o'clock. Do we have this? That is how the mind works. So he said, once the person's mind is controlled, there is no question of him accepting super soul as his superior. Now, the question rises is this. Let me just finish this last thing. Because this transcendental position is at once achieved by one who is in Krishna consciousness, the devotee of Lord is unaffected by the dualities of material existence, namely distress and happiness, cold and heat, etc. This state is practical samadhi, or absorption in the Supreme. At that point, once you get a good understanding, it's not that it doesn't affect you, the happiness and distress. It does affect us, but it gives us strength to deal with it and understanding to deal with it. So we have a different outlook towards it. And we said, this one person said, I thought it was so beautiful, he said, she had gone through so much difficulty in her life. She had a tattoo done here, this shall pass too. This will pass. Meaning there is hope. This will pass, no matter how difficult time it is. If she is in happiness, she said, oh, that's going to pass too. Happiness is always followed by sorrow, and sorrow is followed by happiness. My Guru Maharaj was one time explaining, he said, happiness is followed by sorrow, sorrow is followed by happiness, but bliss is not followed by sorrow. When you are in bliss, when you have achieved Satchidanand, by serving Satchidanand Vigraha, you are in bliss. That is not followed by anything else, because it's on an absolute platform. Even if it's temporary feeling, we all experience, when you are so engrossed in serving our deities, we do feel that bliss. And then again, that you all know that. So, but by practice you get better, and get more mature. It's a question of maturing. Your mind has to mature. You have to tame your mind. So you have to reach that maturity. That this is going to pass, that is also going to pass. So let's not get too carried away and too bewildered by it. This state is practical samadhi, or absorption in the Supreme. There is one point here, excuse me. Okay, let me do the next and then we will recap this. Jnana Vijnana Triptatma Kutastho Vijitendriya Yukta iti Uchyate Yogi Sama Lostra Asma Kanchanaha. Jnana, by acquired knowledge, Vijnana, and realized knowledge, Tripta, satisfied, Atma, a living entity, Kutasthaha, spiritually situated, Vijita Indriyaha, sensually controlled, Yuktaha, competent or self-realization, Iti, thus, Uchyate is said, Yogi, a mystic, Sama, equipoised, Lostra, pebbles, Asma, stone, Kanchanaha, gold. Purport. Translation, sorry. A person is said to be established in self-realization and is called a yogi or mystic when he is fully satisfied by virtue of acquired knowledge and realization. Such a person is situated in transcendence and is self-controlled. He sees everything, whether it be pebble, stone, or gold, as the same. Purport. Book knowledge without realization of the supreme truth is useless. This is stated as follows. Ata Shri Krishna Namadi na bhaved graham indriya sevan mukhe jivado swayam eva spurati adaha. No one can understand the transcendental nature of the name, form, quality, and pastimes of Shri Krishna through his materially contaminated senses. Only when one becomes spiritually saturated by transcendental service to the Lord are the transcendental name, form, quality, and pastimes of the Lord revealed to him. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. This Bhagavad Gita is the science of Krishna consciousness. No one can become Krishna conscious simply by mundane scholarship. One must be fortunate enough to associate with a person who is in pure consciousness. A Krishna conscious person has realized knowledge by the grace of Krishna because he is satisfied with pure devotional service. By realized knowledge, one becomes perfect. By transcendental knowledge, one can remain steady in his convictions. But by mere academic knowledge, one can be easily deluded and confused by apparent contradictions. It is the realized soul who is actually self-controlled because he is surrendered to Krishna. He is transcendental because he has nothing to do with mundane scholarship. For him, mundane scholarship and mental speculation, which may be as good as gold to others, are of no greater value than pebbles or stones. This very important point here that I like to stress. It says jnana and vijnana. There's a difference in jnana and vijnana. Especially the scientists, they're nodding their heads. I can just take a book of chemistry and read the whole thing, and I'll go to Madhushra Prabhu and Prabhuji Sundari Mataji, who has done PhD, and that just gets, okay, I know what you guys are talking about. I'm a chemist now. I'm expert on it. They have realized knowledge, because what they do is they do practical in the lab, and they come to a conclusion by their practical. That is called vijnana, or realized knowledge. Mine is what? Just academic knowledge. I'm just saying it. I don't think it's that simple and easy to even read a chemistry book and understand it. Excuse me. But if I say if I'm really good at it and picking up things, and even if I claim that, this Prabhu is not even, because he's a pharmacist, so he'll catch me too. So I cannot actually call myself expert. So he's saying that realized more knowledge, even spiritually, transcendental knowledge, comes from realization. Reading Srila Prabhupada's books is a great mercy for us. Understanding is a great mercy for us. But realizing what he's talking about is the actual thing, a goal we have to achieve. Now, there's another point here. You have to, the individual soul has to, when his mind is controlled, when he's mature, he listens to the instruction given by the super soul. So he said you have to listen to your superior. Now, for us, it is difficult. We all know, Srila Prabhupada explained it so well. We all know it is very difficult for us to deal with Krishna directly. That's why we have a parampara system. So the first superior person for you is your guru. And if you don't follow his instructions, doesn't matter, don't use your brain, don't use your logic, don't use your intelligence, try to say, oh no, I'm right, I'm wrong, this is the. Now, when your guru says, do this is how it is, accept it, take it as a word of gospel. Literally speaking, it is a word of gospel because he is well versed in Sadhu. So you have to listen from Sadhu, Shastra and Guru, and he's all three of that. Srila Prabhupada explains in one of it, it's a Hindi tape I lost, I don't know where it is. He says that Guru is that Sadhu who explains Shastras. So Sadhu, Shastra and Guru connection cannot be given up. So until you figure out all this complexity of this transcendental knowledge, just take it what Srila Prabhupada said. Forget about anybody as me or this, that or the other, this Prabhu, that Prabhu. Just take it from Srila Prabhupada says, your Guru is as good as God, equal to God. To you, he is God, his word is the word of gospel. Follow his instructions, like it or not. If you